So now we'll do addition of alcohol or reaction with alcohol. See, in case if we have any aldehyde or ketone and react that with alcohol, what would happen? For this reaction to happen, first of all, ROH is a very weak nucleophile. So the attack of nucleophile would be relatively very slow. So to enhance this reaction, got it? So we need some electrophile to be added on oxygen before a nucleophile can attack. And that's what exactly dry HCl will do. So because of this dry HCl, ROH will react here and it will form hemiacetal. We have discussed about hemiacetal recently. Once you get hemiacetal, if you add one more mole of ROH, then even this OH2 will leave and OR dash will attach, thereby we will get acetal. So carbon containing OH and OR, you call it as hemiacetal. Carbon containing OR and OR, we call it as acetal. So if you check out the stability wise, hemiacetals are very stable in dry HCl condition, and if you have any basic condition or acidic condition, they will cleave back to aldehydes. Okay, let me show you how does that take place. Suppose if we have hemiacetal, I am taking it from hemiacetal, how the reaction will take place. So if from hemiacetal, if you check out, first the protonation will take place here. Okay, it is in aqueous medium, so ROH is a better leaving group as compared to that of H2O. Okay. So protonation would happen on this ROH, then the lone pair present on oxygen will close it as double bond, okay, and this group will leave as ROH. So we would get this as RC double bond OH, okay, and from here H plus is lost and we will get this as RCH double bond O, deprotonation has happened. So that's how we will get back the aldehyde or a keto form which is present here. If it is an aldehyde, you call it as hemiacetal. If it is a ketone which is there, you call it as hemiketal. This is in acidic medium. Now see what happens in basic medium. In basic medium, OH minus will first extract the proton. It would become O minus. The minute it becomes O minus, it will go for elimination, alpha elimination. So it will become double bond O and RO minus will come out, just like E1CB. So we will get this as RH C double bond O, R dash O minus will come, and this on hydrolysis further we will get this as R dash OH. That's how the workup will be. What we have learned that hemiacetals are unstable even in aqueous H plus or aqueous OH minus solution. They are only stable in dry HCl conditions. Okay, but let us see what happens with acetals. In case of acetals, if you check out, acetal is definitely stable in dry HCl as well as it is stable in aqueous OH minus, which means in basic conditions also. And this would become very useful, useful information when we discuss in biomolecules, where we try to maintain all the acetal forms in basic solutions. So in aqueous OH minus it is stable. How? Let us see first with aqueous H plus, because in aqueous H plus it will make cleavage. So first the lone pair on RO dash will attack here. You will get this as you will get protonated here. Once the protonation is done, the lone pair here will make a double bond. This group will leave. So we will get this as RCH double bond O R dash. Water will again attack on carbon. This bond is lost towards oxygen. So we will get this as RCH, OR dash and OH2. There would be an intramolecular proton transfer because ROH is a leaving group now. So proton will transfer towards that, and as soon as the proton transfer happens, here lone pair will again support, this group will leave. So basically we got a hemiacetal first. This is, you can see that hemiacetal form. From hemiacetal again the reaction we have just seen here, right? This is the same reaction which is happening. From hemiacetal, protonation, again ROH removal, aldehyde formation. Same thing from hemiacetal protonation, then ROH removal, proton formation. So we will get this as RCHO plus, and which will come out as RCH double bond O. So we have learned two important things here. One, hemiacetals are unstable even in both aqueous H plus or aqueous OH minus, while acetal is only unstable only in aqueous H plus. It is quite stable in aqueous OH minus, which means in basic medium. Okay. Now this information is also very useful for us. Considering how the mechanism takes place, let us see what are the other important terms which you need to learn from here. Okay, we haven't done the mechanism. Okay, let me do that. First, let us see how the hemiacetal or acetal are formed. We have seen how the hydrolysis happens back to the aldehydes. So we'll see the reaction how it goes towards forward, which is formation of hemiacetals and acetals. So let me give that heading as formation of hemiacetals. Hemiacetals or acetals. So for this, if we take any aldehyde RCHOH and then ROH, as this attacks here, okay, first protonation, tri-HCl. So first H plus will be added, so we'll get this as RC double bond OH plus and H, and that's where the base ROH will attack. As it attacks, you can see it will form RCOH, H and ORH plus, which will release out this H plus, and it will become RCOH, H and OR. And all these steps, if you observe, all these steps here are reversible. All these steps are reversible. Okay. So what we got here is in hemiacetal. This is how the hemiacetal is formed. Now let's see how from hemiacetal acetal is formed. We take R, C, OH, OR and H. I'll write the H part here. Okay. Then this gets protonated, so the lone pair on oxygen attacks here, so we will get this as RCOH2 plus OR and H. Let me put this as R dash so that we don't confuse with the other one. So this is R dash, and now OH2 is a good leaving group here, right? So then we have ROH in the solution, so that would attack on the carbon, relieving that OH2. This is a slow process because H2O, you know, is also losing almost from this carbon, right? And ROH is a weak nucleophile, so it will go through SN1 characteristics, sorry, SN2 characteristics, correct? But because this is a weak nucleophile, it can go for SN1 also. So which means if you check out here, if this group leaves, we can have OR, H and ROH, correct, which will be resonance stabilized here, right? And then OH, ROH will attack on it. So this is through SN1 mechanism. I hope all of you understood that. But if you see this R, in case if this is CH3, the crowding would be less. If this R is also CH3 and if the crowding is less, it can go through SN2 also, but the reactivity compared to SN1 and SN2, SN1 would be relatively better, okay, because it can make this octet stability with the lone pair of oxygen here. And what we will get here is that C O R dash, O R dash here and H. So this is the product which you will get. It's nothing but acetal formation. Okay. Now this reaction of attacking nucleophile here, this would be slow. So that's why this is the RDS. This is the RDS step as well. So hemiacetal to acetal formation is a slow process with ROH attacking on the carbon here. Have you understood how acetals and hemiacetals are formed? Okay. Now, when it comes to conversion of hemiacetal to acetal,
Yes.
right? Okay, so please do not consider this as a simultaneous step in case if you get confusion there. So think that major part would be through SN1 here. Okay. Hope that is clear, everyone. Any doubt? I'll give you some time to write. Let me finish the entire acetal part and then I'll show you. See, when it comes to hemiacetal to acetal, definitely we can require specific acid catalysis, got it? Because it has to lose out that H2O. And if it has to lose out that H2O, as I said, it is a slow and that would be the RDS of the reaction. Now, ketones do not form acetals that easily. When it comes to ketones, it becomes difficult to form uh, acetals here. One thing you can see, instead of this hydrogen, now we will have R group, got it? So initially here, once the hemiacetal is forming, this itself will be very difficult to form. Even after the formation of this, the reaction will become even slower because of the bulkiness here, because OH2 has to leave. We do agree that it is going through SN1 mechanism, but yet the nucleophile is not very strong and we have to remove the water out, got it? So that becomes difficult in case of ketones as compared to that of aldehydes. Another important thermodynamic property because of which ketones doesn't do reaction very well is an entropy factor, got it? I'll tell you what exactly is an entropy factor in a minute. But ketones do react if you take it as 1,2 diols. Okay, so which means only one molecule which has two OH group sites. For instance, you can check out here. Suppose if this is a keto form and we react that with glycol, okay, in the presence of dry HCl. So here it would form this cyclic acetal here, cyclic acetal or ketal. If there are two R's here, we call it as ketal. So R and R, okay. And this on hydrolysis, we'll get this as R2 C double bond O and OH and OH. Got this? Obviously, hydrolysis should be in acidic aqueous condition. Same thing, cyclic ketones here, if you treat that with glycol, this will also again form cyclic acetal. On hydrolysis, we will get back. Okay. Now, here what is happening? We are trying to make sure this double bond is being protected by any other nucleophilic attack once it forms a ketal or a acetal. This is called masking. This is called masking or protection on C double bond O. I hope you guys are clear with that. What is masking? Okay. Now that is exactly what you would see in the case of cyclic ketones. So in the case of cyclic ketones, we will see that uh, even the regular CH3COH will attack and you will get this type of an acetal formation. Any doubt, guys? Okay, let me just come to the thermodynamic part of it. That should explain you better. 1 minute. I'll come back to that. Just check this once and we'll go back to the same topic. Check. When we are trying to make an acetal formation, suppose if you have an aldehyde, right, and then we are taking 2 moles of alcohols to form an acetal and H2O will come out of it, correct? Now how many number of molecules we have here? We have 3 molecules here, got it? And here we have two molecules forming in the products. Overall, we have made an addition reaction, so we kind of broke the pi bonds and made sigma bonds. So overall energy must be released. So I can say delta H is negative. But in the case of entropy, that is also becoming negative. So if we see delta G, delta H minus T delta S, so you can imagine that this being negative, this being negative. So this factor, entropy factor, is impacting the spontaneity to drive in the forward direction. If this would have been positive, the reaction would have been gone in the forward direction. Got it? The same logic we can help through ketones also, and in fact that is the main reason in ketones the reaction doesn't take place that easily. So in the presence of ketones, if you check out R dash OH 2 moles of alcohol, and we are expecting this ketal to form. Okay, so here also you can see we have total of 3 molecules initially and 2 molecules formed here, and delta S being 0. Delta H, yes, it is negative, but that is not a important factor. It is the entropy factor which is driving it, because it is already an equilibrium reaction. So reaction mostly will be in the backward direction. Got it? Now suppose if the same ketone, if you were using an glycol, so instead of taking these two molecules, now we are taking only one molecule, right? So now the number of molecules are 2. Got it? So the product formed is 2. So delta S is almost 0. So which means it only depends upon enthalpy factor, and enthalpy is anyway negative because you are making sigma bonds. So reaction can be driven in the forward direction. So that's why you can start getting the yield of cyclic acetals. I hope that point is clear. See how the mechanism drives here. So first the lone pair from glycol will attack on carbon. This group will leave, right? Of course, after protonation, from here you can see with protonation the lone pair here is attacking, and we get this, and once you get that, here it got connected and now we have here OH, R and R, right? OH, and this group has been present. Now from here this OH will take away this H plus so that it can come out as water, and this would become a lone pair on it, right? And once this H2O leaves, the lone pair here, this compound will make it a double bond, and we'll get this type of a form here, right? And once we have that, lone pair will attack on carbon, and pi bond would again shift back to oxygen, and that's how we will have this cyclic ketal formation or cyclic acetal formation. So cyclic acetal will help in masking the aldehydes or ketones better, got it, as compared to normal alcohols. Okay. I hope all of you understood that, right? So now let us get back here. That's what I was trying to tell about masking. I hope you understood what we mean by masking. So basically we are protecting that C double bond O case. Okay, that would be very useful, especially for making drugs in drug industry, where there have to be very specific points where aldehyde has to be open, ketone has to be closed, or vice versa, where only alcohol has to be found. In all those cases, masking helps a lot. Okay. Now if you have only one molecule here which already has a keto form and alcohols on the other end, so both of this will attack, and that would form a cyclic acetal. Got it? If you have only one OH in the presence of dry HCl, the lone pair will attack here. Got it? H plus will come on this, so you will get this as hemiacetal. So intramolecular masking is also possible. So in case if you have any OH group on it. So that, now let me show you how exactly the masking helps, in different questions. This was one JEE question I took. Wait, let me show this. Yeah. So it was asked like, suppose if this is an ester which has a keto form here, which is beta keto ester, and he is treating that with lithium aluminum hydride. What is the product we can expect? We expect that we will get alcohol here, and we know that lithium aluminum hydride will uh, reduce ethers also, so we will get these are the products. Or if you directly react with NaBH4, what we can get? We will get this as OH here, and we know that NaBH4 does not react with esters, so esters would remain, ester part would remain. This is the product we will get. Okay. What if I want? What if I want? This, where I want this to be reduced, alcohol to, double bond to be reduced here. Sorry, I want this to be intact, but only ester to be reduced. But we know that esters are relatively less reactive as compared to that of ketones. So lithium aluminum hydride will always impact the ketone. So that keto part will get reduced first. So that's where the masking will help. Now what we are doing, suppose if this compound is treated with glycol in dry HCl, then what is the product we can expect? Then acetal will form. Here we will get this as O, and this is the acetal which is formed, correct? And this is undisturbed, because in dry HCl you won't see this reaction of hydrolysis of esters happening. Now once you get this, here if I react that with lithium aluminum hydride, LaH. So lithium aluminum hydride does not make any reaction on the acetal forms, so that would remain, and this becomes alcohol. So this part has become alcohol. Okay, and once you get this, by hydrolysis H3O plus, right, in aqueous condition, we just learned that acetals will undergo hydrolysis and retain back its keto form. So that's how the ketones, aldehydes can be protected. So in many cases we will see this, how we are protecting the double bond, and from there we will finally get the formation of very selective reduction. I hope you guys understood that. Now these are the cases I have just put it here just to make sure you understand the entropy factor. Correct. If you see the entropy factor here, we have 3 moles and here we have 2 moles. So entropy factor, that means change in entropy is less than 0. Here if you check out, we have 2 and 2, so entropy is almost 0. Here we have one molecule and water will anyway come out of it, right? So here we will get 2 molecules, so delta S is positive. In fact, this will be more spontaneous as compared to the others, right? Okay, now focus on the lecture back. So what exactly acetals are doing? That it has 3 major characteristics. One, let me write it as some P factor here. One factor is easy to put on. So protection can be easy to put on, right? Next, it stays firmly when required, got it, especially when you are trying to reduce the other part of it. Third, it can be removed out very easily, easy to take off, got it. So for instance, if you check out here, cyclic ketones, we can easily put on this mask on it. So we will get this mask first. This is masking, and after whatever the reaction we have to get it done, right, first of all it will stay firmly, which means it is very stable, and once it is stable, afterwards when the reaction has to be done in aqueous medium, correct, then it will come out very easily or as well. So double bond will be formed here, correct. So you will get back to this. So these are the features which you will see. Okay, once it was asked as an objective kind, that what are the characteristics of acetals. It is easy to put on the protection. Second, it is stay firm and easy to take off. Correct. Now suppose if the same thing we have with diketones. So there are two ketones here, right? And if this has to go through acetal formation, this time the acetal formation is not through alcohols. Got it? So within the molecule itself, there will be a part which will act like an alcohol, and that itself will form the acetal. Got it? And this is a special case here, so we will just check out how the product and reaction is happening. So the product which you will get will be aromatic ring here. So this way, this is the product you will get. Let us see how it is happening. The lone pair on oxygen first takes away H plus in the presence of dry H plus or dry HCl here, right? So once you get that, now if you see this molecule, this is the molecule which has happened. So on taking H plus, this is what has happened. Now the H2O within the molecule, once you get this form here, now when you treat that with aqueous solution here, got it, water will take away this H plus, got it, which means this can be feasible in both aqueous medium as well as dry HCl and then addition of water. So first water will take away this H plus, making an elimination. So this bond will shift here as a double bond and this pi bond will shift on to oxygen and you will get this. Got it? So we will get this O here, OH here with double bond O. Okay. Once you have this, again the lone pair on it will attack, because now this has become more like an alcohol, right? So intramolecular nucleophilic addition will take place, just like hemiacetal formation. Got it? So this alcohol will attack on double bond. So first an hemiacetal is formed. You can see that this is an hemiacetal form. Okay. So because as soon as it attacks, this would come as O minus, it will take away this H plus and you will get this hemiacetal formation. Once you get this hemiacetal formation in the presence of H plus, got it, it will take away this, it will get protonated. Once it get protonated, again H2O as a base will extract this proton and this would form a double bond here and H2O will leave. Okay. The motivation for this elimination, right, is to retain the aromaticity. So H plus can leave, double bond can come and aromatic ring is retained. So that's how it would become aromatic case. So only special case, just remember, if you have diketones like this, okay, in acidic medium, right, and then hydrolysis, we can get this keto form. I hope you guys understood that. Right. Now coming to the thiols, now we have learned about alcohols, now we will check about thiols. Okay. General reaction of thiols is also possible, which means if I take RCHO plus 2 moles of RSH in the presence of dry HCl, or even if you take some base like BF3, sorry, acid like BF3, then also the reaction will take place to form this as RCH, SR and SR formation, correct, which is thioacetal. Thioacetal formation is seen. Got it? Now again, just like what we have seen, if the cyclic case is there, that would make better thiol formations. So that's why most of the reactions are done in cyclic cases. Right, which means if in the presence of BF3, the lone pair from oxygen can attack here, increase the electrophilicity of carbon, then SH can attack. This reaction will happen better than the normal diols because the nucleophilicity of SH is better than that of oxygen. So if you compare this glycol, then the nucleophilicity of this would be better, SH would be better. right? So dithiol will have a better reaction. So now you see oxygen, as it gets associated with BF3, the lone pair from sulfur will attack on carbon. This pi will shift here. So we will get this form. This hydrogen will shift onto this oxygen, making this as OH. Again BF3 is left out. So the lone pair on oxygen attacks on BF3 once again. So we will get this as OH BF3 minus here. It becomes a good leaving group, so the lone pair from sulfur will attack again and release that BFOH group, correct? That's how we will get this product, a cyclic thioacetal. Okay. Now once you get this cyclic thioacetal, you must have seen this reaction during the preparation of alkanes, a similar reaction. We can get various products from this. Suppose if you first react with any RLi, this is any RLi, Gilman's reagent. So we will have R minus taking away this proton and becomes minus, and this minus is resonance stabilized with the empty d orbital of sulfur. So that's why this proton is acidic. So we will get this C minus here, carb anion formation, and it acts like a nucleophile as well as a base. So which means if you treat that with Rx, you can see if you treat that with Rx, the product formation would be S sorry S here with this, R is already there and one more R will come and X minus will leave. So basically it is attacking here, this minus will attack here, X minus will leave through SN2 mechanism. This is what we will see. But if you treat that with D2O, that minus will attack on D, extract that deuterium and forms this R and D. Once you get this kind of an alkane here, right, if you treat that with HgCl2 and water, okay, Hg will have very strong affinity with the sulfur, correct? So Hg will get in, forms a precipitate with sulfur, and if you recall, HGS is one of the stable sulfite as compared to the others, and in fact this does not have reaction with concentrated HNO3 also. So it would form a precipitate of HGS, right? And this side water, imagine as if like water attacking on this carbon 2 times, and sulfur is giving away electrons to Hg, this sulfur is giving, this sulfur is giving, right? Both of them are coming with 2 moles of HGS, right? And this is getting attacked with water 2 times, so thereby we will have RHO. So aldehydes can be formed here, got it? Okay. One important thing is this is with deuterium. So this is another important question you can check out from here where we have started. So this hydrogen can be replaced to this deuterium, right, using this method. Another thing you may have learned is that either you use Raney nickel or nickel in H2. This group which has formed here that can be so this one which has formed here, that I can use for formation of alkanes. Whatever the desired alkane I want, I can get it on treatment with H2 and nickel. So we will get this as SH plus R CH2 and R. Okay, this reaction where alkane formation is observed is called Mozingo reaction. You may have learned this, Mozingo reaction or Mozingo reduction. Suppose same thing if you use that in case of HgCl2 and water, again 2 OH groups will come here and that will convert into keto. So R C double bond O R plus HgS formation. So you can see that we have this R being replacing the hydrogen which we initially took here, right? So we can do that as well. I hope all of you understood that. That is about thiols, how the thiols work. There are a lot of questions in advance from thiols. These are two questions which I have seen recently. See, what are the questions that are being asked? Suppose if there is an aldehyde given and you treat that with, thiol in the presence of Lewis acid, you will get a product A. Then you react that with BuLi, RLi, you know what you will get, anion you will get. With D2O, you will get deuterium getting substituted there. And then after H2 and nickel, you will get alkane. So you know the products, right? Same way, here also you react with that. Here alkyl halide reaction SN2 mechanism, CH3 gets attached and then again alkane will come. Okay, the same type of reaction has been seen. So I hope you guys can do this. First note it down and get back here and complete those two questions. So in case of HCN, HCN is definitely not as powerful nucleophile to attack on C double bond O. Okay, because HCN is connected with hydrogen. Cn minus is powerful, not HCN. So what we will do, we would slightly, we will use some amount of KOH so that we can sufficiently generate Cn minus. So then Cn minus will make a nucleophilic addition reaction with carbonyl group. We will get this as O minus CnH, right? Now this is a very important observation. Here the reaction can go backwards also, because you could see that it could close as a double bond here and Cn minus can leave. Alright. So which means an anion have tendency to go backwards. But whatever the amount that is forming, as soon as you add H plus to that, so the lone pair from here will takes away this H plus and will form OH and Cn. So this is called cyanohydrin. Okay, cyanohydrin formation is seen, and this carbon came from a double bond, so it was an sp2 hybridized carbon. Now it has become sp3 and 4 different groups, so it has to be chiral center, and in this chiral center the attack could have been from both ends while cyanide was attacking, so it would form a racemic mixture. So the product would be racemic mixture of cyanohydrin. Cyanohydrin has a lot of advantages, especially in polymer chemistry, where if you check out, if you treat that with H3O plus, cyanides in acidic hydrolysis or basic hydrolysis, they will convert into acids. So cyanides will become COOH. Okay, so we will have alpha hydroxy, carboxylic acids. So these are alpha hydroxy acids, which are very useful for in the protein chains. This alpha hydroxy, especially if R is CH3, we call it as lactic acid. Now, which of these following aldehydes and ketones will make a cyanohydrin formation easily? Check this out. So if you check out CH3CHO, right, all of this, in this, anything which is an aldehyde or a ketone, a regular aldehyde or a ketone, will definitely give this reaction. So which means this aldehyde, this ketone, even this aldehyde, okay, this aldehyde with withdrawing group or donating group, all of them will give cyanohydrin formation. Okay, this ketone, one side there is a phenyl, the other side there is CH3, there is definitely reaction happening but poor yield. You can see poor yield has been observed. But if both pH are present on both the sides here, then no reaction will take place. Either by crowding wise, remember for nucleophilic addition we take two factors, steric effect as well as electronic effect. In both the effects, this is not a good carbonyl group to get an attack of nucleophile. Correct? So again, this is an integer type question where you need to find out which of the cases cyanohydrin will be formed. So now you should know that. Okay. Next, if you have aromatic aldehydes like benzaldehyde, suppose if there is a benzaldehyde case, then condensation will also compete with the nucleophilic addition. Now this condensation is called benzoin condensation. Now what is that benzoin? How exactly it is formed? Let us see that. Suppose we already know how the nucleophilic addition works. Now we are just checking how the benzoin condensation works. See, cyanide, if at all it attacks like a nucleophile, first there would be an addition here. Once the addition takes place here, I told you that this reaction could go backwards as well because of the anionic character on oxygen. It can close and become Cn minus, and because it is a strongly donating group, strong plus I group here, correct. Now this H transfer happens on this oxygen, so it is H transfer, and this would become an anion which attacks on carbon. That's how we will get this as PH, COH, Cn, CO minus, H and PH. So these two are competing. One is a nucleophilic addition. From this, what is the other route? The other route is by hydrolysis. Simply we can get cyanohydrin formation, H and Cn. Okay, and stop there. The other reaction is that because this O minus is being donating nature on oxygen, got it, and Cn is a withdrawing group, pH is a withdrawing group here, this oxygen can extract this proton, make this as OH, and C minus which is forming can attack as a nucleophile onto the second mole, and we might get this product as well. Now once you get here, again this O minus will take away this H plus. Okay, why that is taking this proton? So that the Cn minus can leave here. So this O minus will close up here and Cn minus will leave, and that's how we will get benzoin. So C double bond O, OH, H and PH. This formation is called benzoin. So this benzoin reaction will also compete with the cyanohydrin formation in case of benzaldehyde or aromatic aldehydes.